Hello, what's up guys? This is TS Football Broadcast here, back with another video. We are going to recap the Vipers and Guardians and St. Louis Battlehawks and Dallas Renegades game and talk about a quick news hit on the XFL, speaking of the XFL. So pretty much Sunday's games and news I saw right before we were recording this. First off, Tampa Bay Vipers at New York Guardians. Greg Olson was commentating. Jerry Glanville is the defensive coordinator. Trestman the coach of the Tampa Bay Vipers. Kevin Gilbride, who worked with Jerry Glanville back in the 80s, I think, is the Guardians head coach. So the game starts off pretty big. Austin Duke has a huge return to open the game up. Then I realized something. The Vipers helmets look fucking disgusting. Who designed those things? They're terrible. They're disgusting. They look like baby vomit. Like, for real. Holy crap. I couldn't take it. I was like, what are you doing with those helmets? But while I was ogling at how disgusting those helmets are, Matt McGloin hit Powell on fourth down to continue the drive, and then he hit Joe Horn on third down, and then to end that drive, he snuck in for a touchdown, and then they pitched it on 1 point and got it. And then the Vipers, in their inevitable functionality, ran it with Flowers, who got their first big play of the game. And they promptly fumbled it. It was recovered by his guard, but still that could have been bad. And then Aaron Murray throws it to another Horn on the next play. I think it was Anthony Horn. And then he got picked off by Andrew Sorrow. There's a lot I could do with that. Sorry, my throat's a little out, so it's going to take me a little minute sometimes. But anyway, so I'm sure Anthony Murray was feeling sorrow after the pick. Andrew Sorrow, on the other hand, was probably feeling very lucky or happy. I don't know. And then Darius Victor, after that pick, had an awesome run. And then later on in the game, we got some big news. Big news. Jamar Summers of the New York Guardians is 190 pounds. Yeah, that was the news. No, they actually said it during the game. I'm like, hey, I might as well put in the episode. And then McGloin later threw a bomb to McKay, and then he hit Colby Pearson for a touchdown on the next play. And then their running back, I think, Tim Cook, he flew in for the touchdown. It was pretty cool. It was actually really cool. They flew in for a touchdown the way he did. It was like an airplane. Man, maybe he should be on the Battlehawks if he can fly, you know what I mean? Didn't need him this week, but boy, was there some weeks we might be saying that. So, in addition to that, Murray had a big pass to Tolliver for a big gain in the third quarter. Or second quarter, excuse me. And then to end the half, they were in field goal range, 50-yard field goal. Their kicker, Franks, shanked it. Frank Shanks. And they end the half 14-0. Getting their asses kicked. And then Ricky Walter is the first XFL player to get ejected after punching a dude. Now, I'm just going to tell you guys the entire third quarter in this one sentence. Boring third quarter. But the Vipers did have a 16-play drive. That ended in a field goal. And then Truesdale fumbles in the fourth quarter. Garns run in for a TD. And then they started throwing in Flowers as the game went on. They started throwing in their backup quarterback, Flowers, who actually moved the offense better than Murray. So I'm coming to this conclusion. I have three conclusions to this game. My first one is Murray shouldn't be quarterback. Flowers is moving the ball way more effectively than him, albeit it is mostly on the ground. Second, Marv Trestman, too conservative. Too goddamn conservative. How many times did he just be like, oh, punt it, punt it, punt it, punt it? He didn't take enough shots downfield. Azora really just I just wasn't pleased with him. But the flip side of that, the Guardians defense got 4 sacks and 2 picks. So we possibly got a really good Guardians defense to worry about. With a final score of Vipers 3, Guardians 23, they won. Which was kind of cool. Actually, it was really cool. So anyway, their backup quarterback, Quentin Flowers, went 1 for 2. 37 yards, no touchdowns. But he ran it 5 times for 34 yards. Aaron Murray, conversely, went 16 of 34, 231 yards. He threw it 34 times, 631 yards, or 231 yards, and a 47% completion percentage. And he was actually 6.8 yards an attempt. And he threw 2 picks. That's bad. Now, I do have to say the Vipers did run the ball really well with Patrick, Tolver, sort of. I don't want to say his name's Dequan Smith. Something Smith. And yeah, I can't remember his name. Patrick. Patrick and Smith ran the ball really well, both averaging 4 or more yards per carry. Smith went for 79. Patrick went for 32. Both had runs 10 yards or more. In the receiving game, Williams took off for 6 catches, 123 yards, and no touchdowns. There's no touchdowns thrown this entire game by the Vipers, who that is obvious by the fact that they only scored 3 points. Now, I think if Tolver or Truesdale caught more than 3 balls, as each were targeted, Truesdale 6 times, Tolver 8 times, they could have maybe done something, but they kept dropping balls. Or this only coverage and made a bad catch situation. Now, I can't say bad catch situation unless I mention Joe Horn, who had 8 targets, 2 catches. Not a good look for him. Now, McKay and Pearson had some productive games. Matt McGloin himself, though, was pedestrian. 15 of 29, 182 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. 2 yards and a rushing touchdown on the ground. So he was serviceable is probably a more accurate term because he did get him 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. So I'd say Matt McGloin is more serviceable. Their run game, however, couldn't get off the ground. One of the running backs averaged 3.6 yards an attempt and had 32 yards on the day, 22 of them coming on 1 carry. And then their other running back had 4 carries for 10 yards, 5 on 1 carry. Now, defensively, there wasn't a whole lot of defense to speak of besides tackling when it came to the Vipers. Sorry, I had to look, and I was like, wow, there's not a whole lot of defense to talk about here. 2 quarterback hits. Now, let's get into the fun defense. I was wrong. They had 5 sacks. Excuse me. XFL.com saved my butt. Will Sutton got 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, and a fumble for a loss as he was very disruptive. Rotimi picked up 2 quarterback hits, a sack, and a forced fumble, which was recovered by Summers. And then, as well, Walker and Mubu picked up sacks. I'm not making that name. It's MBU. So I'm pronounced as Mubu. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm super sorry. Who each also got a tackle for a loss. In addition to that, Jones and Dooley picked up some picks. And Dooley, in addition to that, had a forced fumble. Hines had a forced fumble. I mean, it was just a beautiful defensive day for the XFL Guardians. And the Vipers, frankly, looked like shit. Now, the first thing to address is Pat McAfee was on the field reporting, and I'm a huge Pat McAfee fan, and that was kind of cool. So, let's talk about the coaches and the quarterbacks quick. Bob Stoops is the Dallas Renegades coach. You may recognize that name from Oklahoma. It's pretty good. His starting quarterback, Landry Jones, was hurt, probably doing laundry. So instead, he got Instagram model quarterback Philip Nelson to play the game. The Battlehawks coach was Jonathan Hayes, who had Jordan Tamu at quarterback. And yeah, I was very impressed with Jordan Tamu, as we will get into. So Nelson, here's how the opening drives went for both teams. Nelson completed some balls and punted. St. Louis ran the ball to move through twice. And yeah. To move to Russell with a 30-yard bomb. And then on third down, he decided to scramble it for 20 yards. So, yeah, as a result of that, we got to see a bit of his playability. Now, the half ended with a Battlehawks fumble to end the first quarter. And then the Renegades answered that with a 13-play drive that had a field goal. And then Ford went on to go score a touchdown. And then they proceeded to screw up the point after. And then Dallas kicks to end the half. And my other note from the first half was they were heavily penalized at the beginning of the second half. It was 6-6, 7 penalties, 68 yards. And then Marquette King, the former All-Pro, bombed it. Beautiful punt. Got fucking ruined. Now, Lance Dunbar was a pretty good running back in the second half. St. Louis kept getting hurt, though. The Renegades kicker, McGinnis, kicked 3 field goals throughout the whole game. He was 3 for 3. Tenmu got snapped above. The snap flew over Tenmu on the next drive. And then he somehow got the ball back and just heaved it. So that could have been really bad. And then, again, Marquette King's punt got ruined. And that was really depressing. And then a muffed punt. There was a muffed punt on the next punt, but disaster was avoided. Barely. And then third quarter was pretty much just a position battle. It was 9-6. And then Tenmu just ran at 40 yards to start the fourth. And then he threw a touchdown to Russell on 3rd and goal. And then, again, beautiful special teams. Austin Walker for the Renegades had a good run, but then he got tripped. And then, Tenmu on first down on that preceding drive ran it. Matt Jones ran it for another first down. And then Tenmu to Pearson L for a huge play. And they're just running well throughout the fourth quarter. They got the lead at 15-9. And I just wrote a couple notes at that point. Kickoff and extra points have been amazing all weekend. Their quarterback who started this week, Nelson, was checked down Charlie. Tenmu hit a receiver for a third down conversion. Dallas again muffed a punt, but they kept it. And one of the last plays of the game, Nelson threw a pick to Will Hill to end the entire game. Or not in the entire game, but pretty much just kill him. So good for Will Hill. Nelson, go back to modeling. You're kind of a shit quarterback. Now, before I get into the news, let's talk about some of the stats in this game. In case you guys can't tell, I'm a little worn out, so I'm probably sounding not as enthused as usual. Lance Dunbar for the Renegades had 5 rushes for 27 yards. Nelson averaged 5 yards an attempt. He threw it 42 times and got 209 yards. Who does that make you think of? Check down Charlie. And he threw 1 pick. Now, in the receiving category, Lance Dunbar had 6 targets, 6 catches, 29 yards, no touchdowns. There was no touchdowns for the Dallas Renegades, as my Battlehawks defense just battled them throughout. There was no egregious receiver who had 4 targets, no catches. There was a 4-target, 1-catch guy named Hurd who got 10 yards on that 1 catch. So overall, the Battlehawks were just a lot better. Matt Jones, 21 attempts, 85 yards, no touchdowns. Jordan Tenmu had 9 rushes for 77 yards. Keith Ford pitched in for 26 yards and the lone touchdown of the game. Or not the lone touchdown, the lone rushing touchdown of the game. Tenmu was damn efficient. So I had those 77 rushing yards up with 20 of 27, which is a 74% completion percentage. 209 yards on on 15 less attempts than Nelson got the exact same amount of yards. His yards per attempt was 7.7, which isn't terrible. Threw a 41-yard bomb, and he threw a touchdown, so he was serviceable, kind of like Matt McGloin. Now, Pearsonell was the star of the game as he had 4 catches for 64 yards. Austin Russell also had some moments with a touchdown catch. Washington caught all 5 balls thrown to him. And that was the offense for the Battlehawks. Defensively, Renegades got 2 sacks and 1 forced fumble that was recovered by Calvin and fumbled by Gerd. Now, Scales and Alexander did get sacks, though. So it wasn't like they weren't trying. They just didn't do enough. Now, as for the Battlehawks defense, Gavin got a sack, McCoyle got a sack, Payne got a sack, Hendricks got a sack, Will Hill got a pick, and there was no fumbles. But that's fine. We still won. Now the news portion. This just reporting after one game of extremely good football. The LA Wildcats have fired defensive coordinator Pepper Johnson. They lost 17-37. You're firing him after one game in a new league where you had no film. Okay. I think it's dysfunctional. I mean, they didn't do terrible defensively. I mean, Sean Oakman got sacked. They got picked late. They didn't stop playing defense. I mean, yeah, they lost by 20, but the Roughnecks were the better team. And their quarterback actually kind of knew how to throw a football, whereas Knopf kind of didn't. So my opinion of the firing of Wildcats defensive coordinator Pepper Johnson is, you're dysfunctional. That is stupid. Why did you do it after one game, you jackasses? Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe for more videos of the XFL and the NFL and maybe college football at some point and maybe basketball. No. This is a football channel right now. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Check the Twitter in the description below. Have a nice day and goodbye.